Sue Wilson. I have a lovely springtime frame to show you with a bit of stamping as well. We will be using the new springtime frame, isn't that lovely? And the new Infinity Loops embossing folder. This is one of the smaller size, so it'll go through any of the embossing machines. And this is the stamp set we're going to be using. It's called Floral Happiness Journaling, but we can show you how to use it just for regular card making if you're not a journaler. Okay. So I'm going to start from the top and do a little bit of embossing first. I'll give you a quick measurement. Piece of coconut white card that is 4 5/8 by 5 3/4. Going to use the Infinity Loops, so I'll pop that inside. And the sandwich for this is your folder with your card, a tan embossing mat, and the white Creative Expressions adapter plate. There we go. I'll show you the lovely emboss on this. Isn't that beautiful? So you can see all those infinity loops, gives a really nice background. Now what I've done this on many videos, so I'm not going to do it for you again, but I'll show you and tell you. I've gone around the edge with some Dries clear glue and I've added some white glitter bits on it and let it dry. So I've got a real nice little shiny border around that, okay? So we're gonna come back to that in a minute. I've gone ahead and cut the springtime frame. Now what we're going to do is bring in our Distress Oxides, and we're going to use those to color with. I have got Fossilized Amber, Worn Lipstick, Spice Marmalade, Vintage Photo, and Peeled Paint. And I'm just going to use these little smoothies, and we're going to take the lids off of these, and we're just going to ink directly from the smoothies onto the stamped image. Oops. Okay, I think I'll just start with the pink here, and we're going to kind of go in and just fill in little areas here. It's not an exact science. It's just kind of a, you know, sort of go through and add some bits of color onto it. And don't worry about it being very, very bright when you first stamp into it. It will actually sort of fade into it a little bit. So I think I'll just add a little bit up here. We can bring in some of these other colors, and you can use the smaller end if you want to get into some of these little bits to do little fine areas here. So we'll go in and put in some green for our leaves and just sort of work our way through the image. There we go. I think I'll do that whole little swirl there, up there, and maybe this area here. And come over here, find the leaves on the sides of these flowers up here. There we go. And I'll bring in a little bit of the spiced marmalade and add in some more color to the different flowers with that. Maybe this one here. And we'll add just a little bit of color across the butterflies. I'm going to come back and add a little pink in there. We can even do these little swirly bits in there as well. So you can see there's nothing exact about this. It's just a kind of a free flowing sort of look to it. You can even add over a tiny bit more color here if you like. Add some color onto these flowers. And we'll bring in a little bit of the yellow, the Fossilized Amber. Put in some more color here. Bring in a bit more onto our butterflies. Just apply the color in any way that kind of works for you. There's not a hard and fast rule to this. I'm going to go over and put in a little bit of the Vintage Photo here for the watering can. Just sort of bring it over. And don't, I have to admit, when you first put this on, you think, oh, that's way too dark. Don't worry about it. It does soak into the card a bit, and it smooths out really nicely. There we go. Get the handle with the finer end of that. Get our little bird. He's so cute. Go over the wings and the tail area there. It's coming along. I'm liking the way that's looking. So I'm just going to go back through and add in a little bit more here for the flowers. A tiny bit more color on those butterflies. And a few other spots we missed here, and tiny bit of green we missed around little leaf areas. There we go. Do the stems. Get that leaf over there. Until you've got everything colored. That is looking nice. And it just gives it a really lovely sort of springtime look to it. Let's get that little bit right there. And a couple more leaves I've missed here. If you want the color more intense, you can heat set that and apply another layer to it, but I'm quite happy with the way that's coming out right now. So I'm going to go ahead and put it onto the mat. The die itself cuts out like this, and then it gives you an outside layer that you can use for a frame. So I'm just going to tuck under and do a little spraying. Pop that right down in place. Give that a second. And I've gone ahead and cut the sentiment that comes with it. This one says Happy Mother's Day, and it's got a little flower there. And I think I'll just make that one pink. And we'll just ink right over that. Get that nice and bold. You can add a little extra color if you want it to be kind of multi-tonal. You can do that if you like. I'm going to give this a little spray. Pop that down in the middle. There we go. Now I'm going to set this aside for the moment, and we're going to bring in another piece of coconut white card. In fact, I'll tell you what, I think since I've got a bit of a mess under me, put a piece of copy paper down. So now I'm going to use my journaling stamps. Okay, so I've got several here. I'm going to start with this little guy. It's just a pretty little flower, and I'm going to go ahead and ink right onto this with my smoothie, and we're going to stamp it randomly around the edge. And this is Worn Lipstick Distress Oxide. There we go. Just place random ones all around the edge here. There we go. A little bit more. So just keep re-inking every time. And pop that into place. I think I'll go on to the next one. Peel this off. Put that into place. And we'll use the spiced marmalade. And I'll ink this flower. Go. That's even quicker. There we go. And let's throw one more down in here. And do this little guy here with some of the Fossilized Amber. Just sort of add it around, filling in that whole area. Do another one down here. And the last one I have, let me give that a quick little wipe off. There we go. Got a little leaf we're going to use the peeled paint with. There we go. And add in bits of the foliage, just to add a little detail around the edges. There we go. Just randomly across the corners, through the flowers, here, there, and yon. You get the idea. Just fill it in completely all the way around the edge. I might even add a few more, but now I've got a completely stamped edge on that. You definitely need to heat set this before we go any further. So you just want to give it a real good dry. Okay. I've got one I've done ahead of time, but just so you know, it really does need to be dry. And cover it with a self-adhesive sticky sheet, which I've already done. So let me just pop these to the side, get them out of our way. There we go. I'm going to bring in a piece of copy paper, and we will peel the edge of this up. Just get that started. Go. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel that up, and I'm going to put my center into the middle, the one that I did with the embossing, so I won't have to glitter the entire center of that. Just put that right over so the edges show. There we go. Bring in my Frosted Sparkle Glitterbitz, and we're just going to glitter the part of that edge that's exposed, so we won't be wasting a lot of glitter that way. Here. Gives it a lovely, lovely little sparkle. Let me pop this right back into the container. There we go. So now what we can do is bring over our frame. I've added a little bit of mounting foam to the back. I'm going to raise that up, put that right into the middle, and I have done a base with white on white card, my usual paper piercing around the edge, and I'm going to add this with a little mounting foam, and I will pop this together and I'll give you a quick measurement. Perfect. And the overall size on this card is 7.5 by 8.5. Isn't that lovely? Add a few pearls in there, really bring out the accents with the middle of the flowers, and you have a really quick and easy card, and a lovely one too. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and you'll look for us on our YouTube channel. Don't forget, subscribe.